the difference between in work or at work or to work or for work? And what happens to these phrases when we change the word work to job or career? I'm going to help you with this right now. Welcome to Prepositions Made Easy, Part 2, at work. Welcome to English Coach 3Ts. I'm Tanya, and today I'm going to help you make learning prepositions easier. If you saw our video, Prepositions Made Easy, then you know that learning prepositions with collocations will help you to learn them in a way that you can remember them. If you didn't see that video, I'll link it above, so be sure you check that one out as well. So what is a collocation? A collocation is just a group of words that always go together. And because they go together and mean the same thing, it makes it worth your time to learn these phrases or collocations. So let's get started with some business prepositional phrases. And be sure you watch to the end of the video where I'm going to show you what to do to remember these collocations just like we were in class together. Let's start with at work and in work. When we talk about at work, we're talking about our physical location, the place where we work. But when we say in work, we're talking about something a little different, and we need to add a few more words to this collocation. The collocation is in my line of work. The first example is, I like to eat lunch at work. When we say this, we're saying we want to be physically at the place where we work, as opposed to going out to eat or eating somewhere else. We could also say, what did you do at work today? And we mean, what did you do in the physical location? Also, we mean during the time you were working. For an example of in my line of work, we might say something like, I talk to a lot of people in my line of work, meaning in the work that I do. Another example of this collocation could be something like, what do you do in your line of work? My line of work is teaching. What's your line of work? If you would like to learn a little bit more about the basics of in, on, and at, I have another video that I'll post for you here. This video is very helpful with these prepositions. All right, now that we have talked a little bit about in and at, let's talk a little bit about to and for. Sometimes this can be a little confusing, so stick with me or stay with me so I can help you with this. So when we talk about to work, we're talking about a directional movement from one place to the place where we work. For example, we could say, some people drive to work. Other people take the bus to work. We're moving from probably our home to the place where we work. So we use the preposition to. When we use the preposition for in the collocation for work, we can also be talking about a movement of location. For example, I like to leave for work early so that when I get there, I have some time to get organized. But the reason this can be a little confusing is the same collocation for work means more like in order to do the work. For example, I use a computer for work every day. What I mean is I use a computer in order to do my work every day. All right, like I said, this might be a little confusing, but hang in there. When I say hang in there, I mean keep trying with me. I'm going to give you some exercises and some practice that's going to help this feel a little less confusing. Let's see if we can connect this a little bit. Remember the example I gave when I said in my line of work? We can say a similar thing, but use the collocation for my line of work. Earlier, I said something like, I typically talk with a lot of people every day in my line of work. I can say the same thing using the preposition for and the collocation for my line of work. So this example would be, I typically talk with people every day for my line of work. If this is helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any more English videos and lessons here on English Coach 3Ts. Let's talk a little bit about what happens when you change the word work to the word job. In this case, we need to change the collocation a little bit. For example, instead of saying at work, we'll say at my job. We need that pronoun my in this collocation. We can't say at job. So let me show you those examples on the screen here. We can say, I eat at work, but we cannot say, I eat at job. No, we can't say that. We say, I eat at my job. I use a computer at work, but we can't say, I use a computer at job. We say, I use a computer at my job. And when we say something like in my line of work, we don't say in my job or in my line of job. This is not a collocation that we use. What happens when we change the word work to career? This is a little different and can be kind of a lot to look at, but let me give you just a couple of clues to start with. So when we use the preposition for with the word career, we typically mean in order to. For example, I studied for my career at the university. And let's take a look at the preposition in. Here's an example. She has had a couple of changes in her career. What we mean is she has changed what she does for her career. You may have noticed that these collocations change when we use the word work, job, or career. These words can be a little confusing. Would you like to learn more about these words? If so, I'll make another video, so let me know in the comments below. Yes, I'd like to know more about the words work, job, and career. At the beginning of the video, I told you I would help you to remember these collocations. So I'm going to help you just like I would if we were in class. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'd like you to answer these questions using the correct preposition. Write your answers in the comments below, and I'll give you some feedback on your answers. I'm going to ask you a question. Once I've asked you the question, pause the video, think about your answer, write it in the comments, and then listen to the example I gave and go on to the next one. Are you ready? Let's get started. Question number 1. How do you get to work? Notice that like a lot of questions, the words you need in the answer are also in the question. This is a hint to how you should answer. So pause the video and I'll have an example for you. All right, welcome back. The question was, how do you get to work? Your answer could be something like, I drive to work, or I take the bus to work, or I walk to work. Let's go on to question number 2. Question number 2 is, what do you do for work? Remember, pause the video. All right, I hope you wrote your answer in the comments below. Let me give you an example. This one is a little different because we answer it differently. When we're talking about what we do for work, we say that in the question, what do you do for work? But our answer is typically a little more simple, like something like, I am a teacher, or I am a business person, or I work with computers. How are you going to remember this collocation for work? Practice asking other people, what do you do for work? Question number 3. Do you eat at work or do you like to go out for lunch? Pause and write your answer in the comments. One answer for this could be, I like to eat at work. Or you could also answer, I like to go out to eat, but sometimes I eat at work. Either of these answers will help you to practice using the collocation at work. Here's another one to practice with the same collocation at work. The question is, number 4, what did you do at work today? An example could be, at work, I did things I usually do. Or, I did some things differently at work today. Or, I worked on the computer at work. There's a lot of different ways you could answer this question. Let's look at question number 5. The question is, what do you typically do in your line of work? Try to use this collocation, in my line of work, in your answer. This one is a lot like the previous one. There are a lot of different ways you could answer this question. For example, in my line of work, I answer telephones. Or, I spend a lot of time outside in my line of work. You can see that that collocation can go at the beginning or end of the sentence. Let's practice one more. Number 6. Have you had any changes in your career in the last 10 years? Pause the video to write your answer below. For this example, I'll use myself. I have had some changes in my career, but it's been more than 10 years. How did you do? Are you still confused, or are things feeling a little more clear now? Let me know, and be sure to stay tuned for more lessons using collocations and other vocabulary and phrasal verbs. If you're ready to watch another video, YouTube has already picked one for you here. Or if you want to try something a little different, try this one. I'll see you in class.